Nico is an incredibly powerful marksman in Call of Dragons, and you can get him 100% free to play from your gold keys. So stick around in this video for the things you need to know to get the most out of your Nico. Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming and today's video is sponsored by the makers of Call of Dragons. And in this video, we'll go over the skills that make Nico so powerful, the pairings that you can use to get the most from him, and the talents that will absolutely dominate your enemies. I'll even cover the artifacts you need to get the most punch. So you can use the timestamps in this video if you'd like to jump ahead to any one of those portions, and consider subscribing to the channel for daily Call of Dragons guides designed to help you get value and smash your enemies. And thank you for smashing the like button on this video. Let's get started with his skills, the basis for everything this hero does. First and foremost, the active skill. You should always max this before unlocking the other skills on this hero by using your medals. So get this skill to 5 before you use medals on Nico. This skill does 1400 physical damage factor and inflicts a defense break, reducing their defense by 15% for 3 seconds. This is going to be more important than it looks. We'll talk about why. The next skill is engineering related, and this is kind of tragic, okay? He's only got less than the maximum number of skills, sort of relevant for fighting other players. But this is an engineering skill. Okay, you get engineering boost when building barricades and alliance buildings. That's 15%. Also an upwards of 15% when destroying barricades or alliance buildings. All right, I mean, not great to see this on here, but we continue on. The marksman in his unit gained 20% attack and 10% defense. So that's 30% of stats total. 20 attack, 10 defense, very solid. From there, final skill. When casting rage skills, Nico's Legion gains onslaught and riposte, increasing normal attack and counterattack damage dealt by 20% for 5 seconds. This effect triggers once every 7. Now, the thing that's so interesting about marksmen is that the range is kind of shorter than mages, which means they often end up tanking, which means those normal attack damage and counterattack damage boosts are really good in this game. From here, we review the final skill, the Awakening, when you max all the other skills. When Nico's Legion launches a normal attack on a target Legion that has defense break, you've got an 80% chance to do 200 damage factor. That's very interesting. If we look at this active skill, it inflicts a 3-second defense break. So in a best case, you get 600 damage factor out of this. In a worst case, you get 0 damage factor out of this over the course of the 3 turns. The most likely outcome is that it'll trigger probably the 3 times. I guess you could do the math on this really quickly, and it would be something like 480 damage factor on average. That's basically taking 600 damage factor, multiply by 80%. I might have done that math a little bit wrong, but you get the idea. The point is that you can do a lot of extra damage with this Bullseye Barrage Awakening skill, but that's a long way away for most people. We'll circle back on this one. Before we go any further, though, I do want to remind you that while you should max the first skill, you should also, after maxing the first skill, unlock all the other skills before deploying your skill points. Why is that? You want to decrease the chances that a point lands in Expert Mechanic. You do that by having more options. So you max the first skill, and then when you deploy more skills, wait till you're at least level 30. You get the star level all the way up, so you have all skills unlocked, okay? That happens at the 4 stars, okay? And then you've basically got a 1/3 chance that your skills land on any one of these. So there's a 1/3 chance it lands on Expert Mechanic and a 2/3 chance it doesn't. And you really don't want them to land on Expert Mechanic. Okay, from here we can talk about the talents. And I have 2 hot takes on what you could do with this, all right? And the first is going to leverage the marksman tree. And we're actually going to move all in on PvP skill damage. Battling other players and doing the most skill damage possible. How do we do that? Well, your foundation talents are very obvious. You take attack, march speed, and health, and boom, you take Arrow of Precision. This makes it so your Legion deals 2% more normal attack damage. That is the damage you deal when you directly target a unit. And in Rise of Kingdoms, the predecessor to this game, it also increased the damage you dealt when people directly targeted you. This also mitigates 1% of the enemy's defense. All right, cool, whatever. Let's go into the marksman tree and have some fun. First, you have to get the attack. Then from there, I want you to go and take High Spirits. Launching a normal attack has a 10% chance to grant your Legion 50 rage. Remember, your Legion will eventually have the Awakening skill. And the Awakening skill is tied to your using your active skill, okay, which does the defense break. So the more rage you can generate on your Nico, the better for getting more skill activations and thus more benefit from your Awakening skill eventually, okay? You still want to take this because it's just really good even before he's awakened. From there, I want you to take Intimidation. 4% more hero skill damage. Hell yeah. And then you take Shower of Blows. When casting rage skills, there's a 50% chance your next rage skill will deal 8% more damage. You see, it's all coming together now. We're leaning in to generating more rage, which gives you more skill cycles, which gives you more damage. So we have an engine now. From there, we move all in on the top row. Increase your health by 2.5%. I don't love this, but I also feel like you're going to get targeted because marksmen have a shorter range than mages. So what the heck? Get some health. That's worth it. And then I wanted to take Delight. Increase your rage accumulation speed by 15% when you have 50% of troops or more. Your goal is to be a little bit sneaky with your marksman. You don't want to just run in there, get killed, and be like, oh, gee, what happened? Okay? You got to play a little bit sly with your marksman. You can't just face tank everything or you will get dunked. So assuming you're playing a little sly, a little carefully, okay, you'll get good value from this. And I will be live streaming to show you exactly how to do that. So consider subscribing if you haven't already. We got a big fight coming up. You'll see exactly how that works. From there, I took Radical. Now, this at first seems bad, reducing your defense by 1.5%, but all damage is so busted. It's so cracked, okay? I would rate this all damage as being worth twice as much as, a point of defense. So 1% all damage is worth at least 2% of defense in my eyes. So that means you're losing 1.5% defense to gain 6% worth of stat value, in my opinion. Now, in this case, it's all damage, okay? And that's 3%. But what I'm trying to say is that Radical is completely worth it, all right? From there, I wanted to take Pursuit. When your Legion consists entirely of marksmen, they inflict fragility when casting rage skills. Do you see the synergy here? We have yet another thing that leans in on your having generated rage to get more skill activations. So this increases the normal attack damage taken by the target by 10% for 5 seconds. Now that might not seem like much, but this looks like it's a debuff. And debuffs scale in value based on the number of friendly armies that are all hitting the same thing as you. So I think this is really powerful. And this effect can be triggered once every 10 seconds. In fact, it's so good the developers limit how often it will apply to the enemy. Now, after you've gone all the way up, you see, I actually skipped the engineering and precision trees. I double back down on the marksman tree for more goodness. I go and I put 5 points into marksman speed. For 5 points over here, you get 15% of speed, whereas 5 points over here would have only given you 10. I also go and I pick up 1 point in fully loaded, a little bit more normal attack damage, all right? I also put 5 points into alert. Your Legion takes less damage. Look, you're gonna be a target. I think this is really valuable. You could take something else if you wanted to, but 1.5% less damage taken is really strong. From there, I took one final thing, Egoism, taking less hero skill damage, because even if you were avoiding being the main target, the reality is that mages do so much splash damage, you're probably getting hit. So reducing the skill damage taken seemed worth it to me. I think you also could make a strong argument for being a mage hunter march. And if that's what you wanted to do, and that is really good in the early game, then you should absolutely get magic counter tactics instead of any of these other things. You could get rid of alert and get the counter tactics if you wanted. You could get rid of egoism and get the counter tactics. If you're fighting mostly mages, get magic counter tactics. And I think it is actually reasonable to assume your enemy might be mostly celestials and also, more importantly, some form of other mage unit, all right? So this is the tree I think I would use if I were going to jam with Nico as primary, which I might. We'll talk about those considerations in just a minute. But the other build you could use is a PvP normal attack build. Now, this mostly works if you pair with Hosk, and that's a good pairing. So I just want to review what Hosk does if you had him maxed in order to be able to do that. You also, by the way, could use Thea for this combination. And we'll talk more about those two pairs and these heroes in just a minute, okay? But there are a couple options that you actually have for a normal attack build. So what does that look like? Same foundational talents, but now we go into the precision tree. We take extra attack, then we get 4% more normal attack damage. Now, I was a little on the fence about this. It was debatable because you just don't get that much march speed if maybe instead you have to take the march speed. You'll see why I took the normal attack damage in just a minute. From here, I took all conquering, reducing the normal attack damage that you take, and then boom, invincible. When launching a normal attack, your Legion has a 10% chance to gain onslaught. This is a buff. Now, if you remember what Hosk's kit does, every time you get buffs, you do more normal attack goodness, okay? So you want to be getting buffs. That's why Onslaught buff here is really good. It increases your normal attack damage dealt by 8% for 5 seconds. From there, I took Cool Under Pressure. 10% more normal attack damage when you're above 50% was too good to pass up. We're all in on the normal attack plan, so let's just settle into that fully. From here, I went just right down the line. I took High Spirits, giving me Rage, and also, boom, Force of Will. When you use Rage skills, your Legion has a 25% chance to gain Onslaught. That's a buff, increasing your normal attack damage dealt by 10% for 5 seconds. From here, we take the top talent, Mighty Slash. When launching a normal attack, your Legion has a 15% chance to trigger an extra normal attack. Happens once every 20 seconds. Wow. It's like instant proc skill damage, but it's extra normal attack damage, which is a huge win. So from here, I thought, are there ways I can increase my normal attack damage even more? And the answer was yes. One of those is by taking Intrepid. When casting Rage skills, your Legion gains focus. Aha, remember that's a buff. That will trigger Hosk, increasing your normal attack crit rate by 5% for 5 seconds. And let's increase our crit damage while we're at it, especially if you're going to pair with Hosk. And then boom, I also took Suppression. 25% chance to inflict Fragility, that's a debuff, onto the target Legion when you cast your Rage skills, increasing the normal attack damage they take by 10% for 5 seconds. Well, wait a minute. Fragility is the same thing over here. You get it for 1 point over here, and you get it for 5 points over here. Now, there is no internal cooldown on this, but there is also a 25% chance to have this inflict instead of the 100% chance that you get over here. So there's definite upsides to being in the marksman tree, but this is still so good, even at the rate that we're getting it here, that it was worth picking up. So now that we've reviewed, okay, these talent options, I want to show you these pairings because I have some that you did not expect. And I want to start with that Hosk combo I was initially showing you, because Hosk doesn't do skill damage. So the skill damage build I showed you wouldn't work for him. You'd use the normal attack build. He gives himself Keen, Vigor, and Rampage. Okay, that's attack, hit points, and damage dealt. He also makes it so that you do 40% more normal attack damage when he's the deputy. That's really cracked for the normal attack damage build on Nico. And more troops means more normal attack damage, baby. So I like that. And last but not least, every time Hosk gains a buff, his normal attack crit rate is boosted. Okay, so you see the synergy here? You've got Nico boosting all your normal attack damage and giving you crit rate and crit damage, and also Hosk is doing the same. He also increases the counterattack crit rate as well. Really, really strong. You can get an upwards of 30% crit rate, which is nuts. I love this. The crit damage combo with Nico makes a ton of sense. Now, you also could run Thea, and she doesn't have as much synergy, okay? You could run Thea with either build, but I suppose there's a little bit that's suboptimal. She will make it so your next skill damage does more damage, but I think you'd ultimately want to use the normal attack build if you did this. And the reason you'd probably consider the Thea is if you're using Wilderberg for the Wyvern Rider flying unit. That is a marksman unit. Nico and Thea, flying unit is a thing, all right? The March itself wouldn't fly because Nico doesn't fly, but you'd still get all the benefits of having the flying units, which includes extra attack and 20% march speed, which is pretty dope. Thea overall, I think, is really solid and would be a fine but okay, I suppose, pairing with your Nico over here. I think the Hosk is better. But with that said, I think the more obvious pairing is going to be Nico primary and Kanara secondary. Now, this is the pairing that everybody's been talking about, and the reason is that it's just really big skill damage, and it's all single target, okay? You want Nico to be primary because you inflict the defense break first, reducing the defense by 15%, so you hit them even harder when Kanara does her active skill. So I love everything about this combo, but let me flip this on its head. If you had Nico with his awakening skill, I want to point out something that you probably haven't seen anywhere else. Throw a like on the video. This is the secret technology that nobody else has. Are you ready for this? Look, I figured this out on my own. Maybe other people have figured this out too. But if you look at Kanara's talents, she has one right over here. When casting rage skills, right over here, ambush. When your Legion launches a normal attack, they have a 10% chance to inflict defense break onto the target, reducing their defense by 5% for 5 seconds. Well, wait a minute. 5 seconds of a defense break? Does that mean for 5 seconds, every second you're attacking that target, you get 200 extra damage factor potentially? Hello? Am I the only one who thinks that's completely nuts? I think we cracked the code, baby. I think that you'd actually use a Kanara primary, and we need to test to see if this works. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll update the pinned comment with the latest information after I get a chance to test this. Of course, that means I need to get my hands on an, awakened Nico. It was not exactly easy, okay? But I'll run the test. We'll figure out if that works. But I think that the Kanara primary might end up being better if that works the way that I think it does. But most people don't have an awakened Nico, okay? You don't. So I don't, anyways. So you're going to use that Nico and Kanara combo in that order, and that's freaking amazing. What else could you do, though, Chisgule, if you're not spending on Kanara? And I got great news for you. 2 really good options, okay? One is going to be Krieg. He does great area of effect damage. You'll love to see that. If you were Wilderberg, okay, you get the benefit of the flying units, which is great. That's an extra 10% defense. It's not a ton, but it's something, all right? And otherwise, he's okay. He deals more hero skill damage, all right? After a battle ends, you get some march speed. It's all fine, all right? I like area of effect damage, which is why you'd use him. That makes Nico far more versatile in big fights because he's so single target focused. To be able to hit another target, in fact, several, is actually really good. Now, if you did want to move all in on the single target damage plan, the obviously great choice is Gwanwyn over here, all right? Gwanwyn is strong, single target damage dealt over time. I don't love damage dealt over time, okay? I really don't, especially for PvP. But you could do this, and I think it would be fine. Second skill is Peacekeeping, which means if you're going to pair them together for PvP specifically, you want to make sure you max the first skill, then unlock all the other skills, then deploy your points like I did. So I ended up with 3 points over here in Green Boat's Master and 5 points over here. When you have more unit count, you deal more damage, all right? I think these are a fine pair together. They do great damage. If you're free to play, this would make a ton of sense. The final free-to-play option that I think would be super reasonable will be Eliana. She's very versatile, she's very tanky, and she would actually work with the normal attack build if that's what you wanted to do. That is because she makes it so you take 30% less normal attack damage. Also, when you cast a rage skill, you gain 30% defense for a short window. I mean, 5 seconds is not that short of a window, actually. And also, she's going to give you some sustain, which is very nice for actually keeping healthy, okay? So I think Eliana would also be super reasonable. Those are the main pairings that you could use with your Nico, who is a great hero. From here, though, we've got to talk artifacts, and there are several options. The obvious W is going to be your Shadow Blades, okay? It's just the artifact you use. This is the one, if you can get your hands on it. If you can't get your hands on it, then you've got to make your way to epics. And the epic that you want is the Heart Piercer. Very solid single target damage. And would you look at that? Chance to inflict defense break on the target for 3 seconds. There is testing that needs to be done to see if the Heart Piercer actually will allow Nico to trigger his awakening skill. If it does, it is possible that the Heart Piercer would be certainly much stronger. I suppose, though, at the end of the day, the guaranteed damage, I take it back. I'm moving too in on the synergy. The guaranteed damage of the Shadow Blades is just way too good. You got to take this. But the Heart Piercer's not bad, man, is what I'm trying to say. Those are your main options. Technically, there are other options that we could go look at, but I don't know that they're really even noteworthy, okay? Karada's Wrath is not it. If we scroll down a little bit here, I know there is Heart of Kamasi. I don't like this. Okay, it buffs 3 nearby legions, but I'm told they have to be marksmen. I heard that from another player. I don't know if that's true. It sounds like this only takes effect when leading a marksman legion, so this might be fine. I'm just not in love with this. It does boost normal attack damage, okay, and physical attack. This makes your unit more tanky. I don't know. Maybe we're all sleeping on Heart of Kamasi, but I just feel like the guaranteed wreck your enemy's Shadow Blades is just too good to pass, okay? That's your sort of legendary considerations. And I wouldn't go for Springbird Feather. The speed is I don't think it's worth it. You really want the punch. The Archer Mastery Manual is not exciting to me, increasing your attack. I'm not into it. Also, the stat boosts over here are defense and defense. I'm not into that. I really want you boosting your attack. Okay, marksman attack, legion attack. The reason I want you boosting that is if you look at your marksman, it's going to be really obvious. You're going to go, oh, wait a minute. The percentage-based boosts are on the base stats. The base stat that is the highest on your marksman is your attack by far. So boosting your defense on your marksman does almost nothing compared to boosting your attack. As far as I know, the attack is where it's at, man. So if you learned something really critical in this video, and I hope that you just did, do me that favor of throwing a like on the video and consider subscribing to the channel for more hero guides designed to help you get value and smash your enemies. If you're looking for my overall tier list, rating all the heroes, all of a card in the end screen, if you're looking for an intro to how to pair all of the different heroes and to plan your whole lineup, card will be in the end screen for that video as well. Check it out. I think you'll really like it.